Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan Elron.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, the Prime Minister of Lebanon has resigned, saying that he narrowly avoided an attempt on his life. Saad Hariri accused Iran of taking over Lebanon and destabilizing the region. He charged that the hardline Islamic Republic had a grip on his nation through its proxy, Hezbollah, which is interfering in several other Arab countries as well. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described Hariri's remarks as a wake-up call to the international community to take action against Iranian aggression, which he said is devouring one nation after the other, either by direct conquest or by using surrogate terrorist organizations.
Houthi rebels in Yemen targeted an airport in the capital of Saudi Arabia with a ballistic missile last week. The Saudi Ministry of Defense confirmed that it intercepted a rocket over northeast Riyadh, and the Saudi government accused Iran of ordering the attack. Saudi Arabia heads a coalition which has been fighting the Houthi rebels, who toppled the Yemeni government 2 years ago. And the kingdom says that this militant group is trained, funded, and directed by Iran. The coalition released a statement saying that Iran's role and its direct command of its Houthi proxy in this matter constitutes a clear act of aggression that targets neighboring countries and threatens peace and security in the region and globally. Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman accused Iran of direct aggression against his kingdom and said it could be considered an act of war.
The rogue Islamic Republic held a huge celebration to commemorate the anniversary of the siege on the United States Embassy 38 years ago. 52 Americans were taken hostage during the takeover and were held captive for 444 days. Thousands of Iranians flooded the streets of Tehran, chanting "Death to America" and "Down with Israel." Demonstrators hung effigies of President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu and paraded them through the streets of the capital. The Revolutionary Guard also displayed surface-to-surface missiles, which intelligence officials believe have the capability of striking targets 2,000 kilometers away.
Israeli citizens and their leaders expressed shock and sorrow after a gunman opened fire in a Baptist church in Texas, killing dozens of people. Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister, Tzipi Hotovely, called for prayers for the victims of the massacre of Sutherland Springs Church, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he was horrified by the savagery in Texas and that our hearts are with the victims, their families, and the American people.
The Israeli ambassador to the UN denounced Hamas for constructing a terrorist tunnel underneath a school operated by the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Danny Danone told the world body that the extremist group is exploiting the humanitarian agency by using UNRWA facilities as terror bases and using the children of Gaza as human shields. Jerusalem has lodged several complaints about UNRWA's cozy relationship with Hamas. Several employees of the UN organization have publicly called for attacks against the Jewish state, and Israel believes that many of those workers are supporting and assisting the terrorist.
A new investigation into the death of the Argentinian state prosecutor suggests that Alberto Nisman was murdered. The country's border police say they have evidence that Nisman was brutally beaten and drugged before he was killed by at least 2 assailants. His body was found just days after he publicly accused the Argentinian president of concealing Iran's involvement in the bombing of the Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires. Nisman was the federal prosecutor tasked with investigating the attack on the AMIA building in 1994. 85 people were killed in the blast and hundreds were wounded. Nisman formally accused the government of Iran of ordering the attack and Hezbollah of executing it. He also accused his own president of covering up Iran's involvement in the worst terrorist bombing in Argentinian history.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise in America. According to a report released by the Anti-Defamation League, there's been a 67% surge in anti-Jewish incidents over the last year. In New York City alone, there was a 92% increase. The ADL noted that in the 7 weeks since the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, North Carolina, there were 122 anti-Jewish occurrences in the U.S. There's also been a dramatic increase in anti-Semitism in schools and especially on college campuses.
The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations has strongly condemned a UN report calling for sanctions against Israel. The document, released by a Canadian law professor, calls for increased international pressure and boycotts against the Jewish state, and it accuses the Jews of illegally occupying their homeland. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, rejected the report, saying the United States is deeply disturbed by recent comments from the UN Special Rapporteur calling for academic and economic boycotts against Israel, and by his report to the UN General Assembly. She went on to say that the very existence of this report underscores the Human Rights Council's chronic anti-Israel bias.
The former FBI agent who now heads up the inquiry into Anne Frank's betrayal has released an update on the progress of his investigation. Vince Pankoki said his team has collected several credible tips, and they are using a massive database to sort through all of the information. He's given his team until August 4th, 2019 to solve the cold case. This date coincides with the 75th anniversary of the day the Frank family was betrayed and arrested by the Nazis. Pankoki told Israeli Army Radio that he believes there is somebody somewhere that has been keeping a family secret, and maybe now they're at the point where they can say it's time for the truth to be told.
18 people, including several family members of Israeli Druze living in the Golan Heights, were killed in a terror attack in Syria last week. The target of the bombing was the Druze village of Khader, where insurgents are attempting to gain a stronghold. A spokesman for the IDF noted Israel's deep commitment to the Druze population and said that the Israeli army is ready and prepared to assist the residents of Khader and will prevent the village from being conquered. IDF officials held meetings with Israel's Druze leaders and assured them that they are watching the situation closely. And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement saying that Israel maintains its support of its Druze brethren.
The state of Wisconsin has joined the ban on those who boycott Israel. Governor Scott Walker signed an executive order prohibiting state contracts with companies that boycott the Jewish state. The law protects Wisconsin's economy from BDS efforts to restrict trade with Israel, which it calls a firm and faithful friend of the United States. Wisconsin is the 25th state to pass legislation prohibiting business with companies that support the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel.
The Vice President of the United States has announced his decision to visit the Jewish state this December. As a congressman, Mike Pence was the second co-chairman of the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus in the House of Representatives. He's often reaffirmed the Trump administration's commitment to the Jewish state and has said that the president will make good on his campaign promise to move the embassy to the capital, Jerusalem. Pence says that he plans to raise awareness about the persecution of Christians during his trip. Israel is one of the few countries in the Middle East that protects the freedom of religion for all faiths, while Christians in surrounding Arab countries have faced unprecedented persecution. Vice President Pence is scheduled to visit Israel during Hanukkah, which is the Jewish Festival of Lights.
Generous patrons pledged millions of dollars to support the Israeli Defense Forces and Magen David Adom, or MADA, at gala events in Los Angeles. The Friends of the IDF raised $54 million, and the American Friends of Magen David Adom excitedly announced they raised $17 million for an underground blood bank. This revolutionary new facility will be the first of its kind and will make use of cutting-edge technology to keep the nation's blood supply safe and protected, even in the case of a catastrophic event. This project will be made possible in large part by Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, who promised $12 million to the American Friends of Magen David Adom.
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here in a beautiful day on our rooftop studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Kati Bailey. She is the co-founder and director of the Hawaii-Israel Alignment. Kati, thank you for being on the show.
And thank you, Josh.
Tell us a little about what is the Hawaii-Israel Alignment.
It is a movement of support in the Hawaiian Islands. Our goal is to mobilize and organize a movement of support for Israel and Jerusalem in the Hawaiian Islands.
You know, Hawaii is very far from Israel. Is there a lot of people who are standing with Israel in Hawaii?
Yes, because our movement has been going on for about 5 years, and we go to all the churches, we go to all the communities, we do all kinds of activities.
What are some things you do on behalf of Israel other than come and visit?
Besides bringing groups from Hawaii, we do conferences. We had the UN ambassador of Israel come. We do parades. When Israel is at war, we do protests. We have flags all over our highways.
You know, the Israel-Hawaii alignment movement is mostly a Bible-believing Christian movement. Why should Bible-believing Christians stand with Israel?
Because in Joel, the scripture says that the Lord is going to judge the nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and he says to awaken the nations, awaken the people, and to proclaim what is going to happen. So we want to proclaim to the Hawaiian Islands and to the Christians that their state, their nation, that America, that all the nations of the world need to stand in alignment with Israel.
Hawaii is obviously one of the 50 states in the United States of America. Do we see the same kind of support coming out of Hawaii as we do in other traditional areas of America, or is it a little bit different?
It's a little different. We have a our government is not very Republican, so we have a battle there, but we have the people who support us. And we do have a great movement going on in our islands.
Do we see a lot of cooperation in Hawaii between the Jewish community and the Christian community?
Absolutely. We have seen it blown completely open. In the beginning, 10 years ago, the Jews were very standoffish from the Christians, and the Christians never got involved with them. But we have a full-on friendship, partnership, and working relationship together.
Here in Israel, when you bring your tours, what are some of the things that you see that are more unique than some of the other tours coming from Hawaii that's more specialized for you?
We get involved with the people and the land. Yesterday we fed 20 Holocaust survivors. The day before we picked olives in one of the settlements in Judea. So my goal is to bring the people, get them involved with the culture, with the land, and with the people.
We're seeing a real wave of support with the Trump administration in America. We're, I guess, closer than ever before, America and Israel. Is that something that you see happening in Hawaii as well?
Yes, definitely. We support Trump, and we pray that he moves the embassy to Jerusalem. And Hawaii wants to open a Hawaii House Embassy in Jerusalem, and we hope to be a light to the other states in America to follow us.
What kind of tourism are we seeing from Hawaii? It's very far away. It couldn't be easy to get here.
Yes.
Is there a lot of people who come here from Hawaii?
Oh, yes, yes. In fact, since our movement has started, there's many churches now that are bringing groups to Israel, and we're so proud of that. And many of them are coming from the different islands.
I would be amiss if I didn't bring up surfing, because Hawaii is synonymous with the surfing. And in Israel, surfing has become a pretty big hobby. Do you see a lot of Israelis coming to visit you in Hawaii?
Oh, yes, yes. Surfing is a real sport there, and most of the Israelis who come either windsurf or surf there.
Kati, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have with our viewing audience?
First, I have a message to the Jews, and I want you to know that Hawaii stands in solidarity with you. We love you, we support you. You are welcome to our islands. We give aloha, we embrace you with our arms. And to the Christian community, my prayer is that you will be awakened, as it says in the book of Job, that your hearts would come to the knowledge of God and to stand with Israel, because the nations will be judged, and it's important that we stand in solidarity with Jerusalem to be the united eternal capital, and that Israel is God's land and the land of the Jews. So we encourage you to stand in support with them.
Thank you, Kati, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the return to Zion with Karen Hayesod.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Karen Hayesod. I'm Eliezer Moody Sandberg, World Chairman of Karen Hayesod, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. This week, we will learn about the righteous among the Gentiles. Throughout Israel's modern history, many Christians have risked their lives and the lives of their families to defend the Jewish people and God's covenant with Israel.
As the Nazis ruthlessly set about their demonic plan to eradicate the Jewish people, Europe became an accomplice to humanity's darkest hour. While the Nazi gas chambers and killing fields extinguished the lives of 6 million Jews, Europeans overwhelmingly turned a blind eye to the horror unfolding, or worse, became accessories to genocide. God's compassion appeared to have abandoned Europe, an entire continent devoid of humanity. Yet a handful of people refused to forget the Bible's teaching in Genesis 1:27. God created man in His own image. Unimaginably risking their own lives, these people demonstrated that even in Europe's sea of darkness, human kindness and mercy can shine through. Seeking nothing in return, these Christians jeopardized everything in order to save Jews from facing certain death. Often hiding entire Jewish families for months, sometimes years, they lived in constant fear of discovery and cruel retribution at the hands of the Nazis.
Et quand moi j'allais pleurer, si je puis dire, pour qu'on prenne les enfants, et quand je racontais ce qui s'y passait, qu'on arrachait les gens de leur maison, on lançait leurs vêtements par la cage d'escalier, on les emmenait par camion à Malines.
In appreciation of their remarkable deeds, these angels on earth have been honored by Israel as the righteous among the nations. Exactly how many Jewish lives were saved by these brave individuals, we don't know, but they joined the hundreds of thousands of Holocaust survivors that Keren HaYesod supporters helped extricate from Europe's inferno to reach Israel. They came from 51 countries, from all churches, from all walks of life, from remote farms, city slums, universities, high society, and beyond. They were bound by just one thing: the determination to preserve humanity in the face of all evil. Some of their stories are well known, the likes of Oskar Schindler and Raoul Wallenberg, but lesser-known heroes too, such as Adolf Althoff, Father Hubert Salis, and Leopold Socha, showed the same unimaginable courage. All carried a bright torch of humanity in a Europe enveloped by moral darkness. Avraham Savion was just 9 years old when the war broke out. At the age of 12, he was taken in by a Christian family who risked their lives and the lives of their children to save this one Jewish boy. When word got out that they were hiding a Jew, they arranged for Avraham to be taken in by a church where other Jewish boys were hiding out as well. There, they provided for his every need until he was reunited with his relatives.
ז'אן דלין, הוא היה נסיך בלגיה, והוא הציל ילדים ממוות בטוח. ואחרי שעברתי כמה מקומות הסתר, פגשתי אותו פעם ראשונה בכנסייה בתוך הטירה. הייתה כנסייה פרטית שלו, שהכומר החליט לקחת אותי ולשים אותו נער כנסייה, זאת אומרת. אני עוזר, הולך אחרי הכומר, מחזיק לו את הגלימה, מחזיק לו את הנר, או דברים כאלה. משרת אותו בזמן שהוא עורך את התפילה. חסידי אומות העולם הצילו אותנו. אלו והנזירות והמורות וכולם הצילה אותי במיוחד. הגעתי למקום מנוחה אחרי מרדפים שנרדפתי כל הזמן. הם החיו אותנו, נתנו לנו חיים חדשים.
The righteous among the nations helped fulfill the divine wish to restore the people of Israel to their land. The descendants of those saved today number in the millions, building their lives in the Jewish state with the help of Keren HaYesod. Today, 70 years after the Holocaust, too many Jews still remain in distress and danger in perilous corners of the globe. Now is our opportunity to continue the legacy of the righteous among the nations by assisting in the rescue of these Jews to make a new life in the land of their forefathers.
Let's bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
Peace between Israel and its Arab neighbors in the Middle East would be of inestimable value to the State of Israel. As a country that has not known a second of peace since our creation in 1948, the fact that we could go to sleep at night and know that we'd wake up in the morning and our children would not be threatened with rockets, missiles, with wars, with terror, would be an immense benefit to Israel psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, but also economically. Our ability to conduct business with our neighbors, many of whom are financially affluent, would be of an immense benefit to Israel. It would also be an immense benefit to these countries, many of which, in spite of their financial wealth, suffer from an acute shortage of water and other technological deficiencies. Israel, as one of the few democracies in the world never to know of a second of non-democratic governance, could also influence and influence freedom in the Middle East and influence and spur the development of similar democratic-style governments throughout our entire region. And security. Security not only for us, but security for our neighbors. In many ways, we face common enemies in the form of Islamic extremism, but in particular in the form of a jihadist Iranian regime, which seeks the destruction not only of Israel, but of many governments and many dynasties along our borders. Peace between Israel and all of the Arab countries would bring benefits to the entire world. Middle Eastern energy remains essential for many countries in the world, and securing that energy would be of immense benefit. Curtailing the spread of radical Islamist ideas from the Middle East outward to other continents, to Asia, Africa, and Europe would also be of an immense benefit. Peace is a paramount Israeli interest, but not only an interest for Israel, for our neighbors, and for the entire world.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
We love the people of Israel, and we want to show that love through social projects that help build a stronger Israel. We're passionate about offering life-changing opportunities for the disadvantaged, youth at risk, new immigrants, and minorities that help them step into a brighter future. We desire to make a difference throughout the mosaic that is Israeli society. We call this ICEJ Aid.
Christians come to help the Jewish people. It's the dream, you know? How could it be? The Christian people come to help the Jewish people, the state of Israel. For me, it's really unimaginable.
ICEJ Aid helps families break out of the cycle of poverty through educational programs such as vocational training and mentoring towards employment, as well as offering practical aid where needed most. We also support Holocaust survivors in the last years of their life. The survivors enjoy emotional and physical support in an assisted living facility where their needs are met, and they have a community of loving staff and volunteers surrounding them.
אנחנו לעת זקנה, קשה לנו לתפקד בבית, וזה ארגון בעזרת השגרירות הנוצרית, שאני יודע שהם תומכים בנו ותומכים יפה.
Pnina from Christian Embassy appeared in our life with a lot of food and what is much more important, with their love and with their willing to support
Together with our Israeli friends, we are partnering with the God of Israel, who promised through the prophet Jeremiah, "For I will set my eyes on them for good. I will bring them back to this land. I will build them and not tear them down. I will plant them and not uproot them."
Christians around the world, they are our best friends. And Christians and Jews, we belong together.
Thank you to the Christian Embassy and Christian around the world, your support and partnership helping us to change life every day.
This aid wouldn't be possible without your help. Show the people of Israel God's love today and let her know that she's not alone. Become a partner by giving at icej.org/aid.
Experience the heart of Israel and find a renewed vision for your ministry and calling. Refresh your spirit with the Envision Pastors and Leaders Conference. Join us January 22nd through the 25th for an outpouring of knowledge and insight. Here's why you do not want to miss this conference.
I want to encourage every believer who loves God, loves the God of Israel, and loves Israel to consider being a part of Envision Conference. It's a time where you can hear from local believers, both Jewish believers and Arab, to talk about what God is doing in the land of Israel and the miracles that are happening now and the miracles to come. So would you consider being a part of this?
You'll have the opportunity to visit the Prime Minister's office and hear exclusive briefings from prominent Israeli Knesset members.
Well, if you've never been to Envision, you know there's so many blanks will be filled in your walk with God, and you get a new understanding, a new perspective of Israel and the purposes of God for our generation.
Honor the memory of lives lost in a special Holocaust remembrance ceremony at Yad Vashem.
One of the benefits of coming is the networking with like-minded individuals, a lot of young leaders in our UK gathering who are just fun to be with.
Hey, I was at Envision this year and you should come. It will enhance your life, enhance your ministry, and enhance your call.
Visit envision.icej.org for more information.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.